Well, hello there. It's Charles the Chess Noob, learning, having fun with chess. I really want to show you my new AI bot. They've created an AI bot version of me on Chessiverse. As you can see, Michael Tam, I'm going to favorite it. Let's play a game. So recently this was on a trip to Adelaide. I was at a conference on the way back to Sydney at the Qantas Business Lounge. Thought I'd get a few games in. Really nice airport lounge, actually. Now, you'll notice there's a few beeping noises. Couldn't quite work out what it was initially, and then I worked out, oh, of course, the Chessnut Go board. There was a little bit of interference from the wireless chargers. They're those circular pads on this little desk. It's a built-in wireless chargers for your phone. They were interfering a bit with the board. E5. So game of 5-minute blitz. Let's play a Vienna. Oh, my bot plays a fork big. Vienna gambit. Are they going to go into the main line? That's what I would do. So I'm very interested to see what my bot does. Yes, it goes into the main line. So now captures, and I now play Porcelain attack with the queen to f3. I was very pleased to see my AI bot played the Barterleben variation. Now against which I play the Haid variation with d4, cementing my e-pawn. Now they capture, that's not the best move. Now you could capture with the queen, but it's actually better to capture with the b-pawn. That structure is perfectly good in the Vienna. You do get doubled c-pawns, but that's okay. It's better for the queen to stay where it is because, you know, you're always looking at black's queen going to h4 with check, which can be a bit problematic. Now, my bot, very aggressive. So these are thematically the sort of moves I might play. I'm not sure I would play that in a real game with black. Develop the knight, try to develop. Obviously, we're going to try to castle short. Now, I do actually relatively well, but you know, the bot sort of gets me on time. Now, I'm just bleeding time here. Okay, they capture, and here we can take back with the c-pawn, undoubling the c-pawns, still have that nice center. Ooh, a check. Now, obviously not a great move because we can just push c3, forcing them to move, forcing me, my AI namesake, to move the bishop second time. Now, evaluating this after the game, playing knight forward to f4, bringing the knight forward is best. Also, you know, opening up the diagonal for my light square bishop so that I can castle. But I wasn't too sure, so played the dark square bishop first, which wasn't quite as accurate. And this is actually a blunder by black. But I noticed I was bleeding time and I don't see it. Can you see it? Correct move here is queen h5 with check. They'll block with the g-pawn, but then we can take their dark square bishop with our queen. That was the correct move, and that would have been a relatively clean win of that bishop. No, I'm sort of thinking and thinking all the time. My clock is running down, and I'm just getting a little bit anxious. In the end, I knew I needed to get my king out of the center. So instead, played knight to g3. It's still okay. I'm still ahead, but, you know, not as good. Definitely not as accurate. I was expecting bishop captures bishop, which is what happened. Now queen captures bishop, so queen now on f4, which is good. I've got two attackers on that f5 pawn, and here I start piling on the pressure on that pawn. I did calculate this before I made that original knight move. So here we go. Now 3 attackers on that pawn. They've got 2 defenders. All right, let's short castle the king out of the center. Now my king's nice and safe. Good maneuvering with the knight. All that pressure. on that f5 pawn, but I can't attack it right away. 2 minutes left, and I'm feeling the pressure. Yeah, I've got a glass of sparkling wine. It's really quite nice at the Business Lounge. So Qantas, for those of you who aren't Australians, is Australia's national carrier. I usually try to fly Qantas when it's possible. So I'm now thinking about attacking, potentially Black's king, move the other rook into the center. Thinking also, maybe I'll push that e-pawn as well. Not a bad move by me. Well, the AI version of me. And here again, I knew I needed to do an attack, but how am I going to do it? You'll notice that center, particularly with that bolstering of that e5 pawn originally, really does sort of prevent Black from moving forward. So I really do like the Haid variation, even though Stockfish doesn't think it's the most accurate. Okay, so that rook with an attack on my c-pawn on c3, I should ignore it. I should just play queen to g3, with a threat of immediate checkmate. However, again, I felt a little bit skittish. I'm under a minute now. So you can just play the move. Yep, so I think I ended up playing the rook on the back rank. So rook to c1. I wasn't sure that was the best move. In fact, I was fairly sure it wasn't. Okay, Black does a bit of a shuffling move. Very human, I guess. Very human. It's probably not correct. And here I needed to give that attack on Black's king. 30 seconds left. Queen g5. Obviously need to do something. That was expected. Okay. Knight leaps forward. Knight f6 with check. I was at the Equally Well conference. Yep, they move the king forward. Okay. Now, I think Stockfish gives a complex move, knight to h5 with check, but I thought much more direct. Queen h4, threatening an attack. They move another pawn forward, and oh no, and I run out of time. I flag. Now, I think evaluation-wise, I was doing really well, but with blitz, losing on time is losing. So, moving all the pieces back to their starting position. Let's going to do a bit of a rematch. But my bot really did play quite well. Really did somewhat play the sort of moves I would play, and potentially sort of thematically the type of play that I might do. So Chessiverse, a really, really good, online platform. A rematch. I'm playing this on the Chessnut Go. Very, very portable electronic chessboard. Fits very well in sort of hand carrier luggage. There we go. Let's start. So my AI me starts with the Vienna. Very nice. Just like the way I do it. Are we going to end up with another Vienna gambit? Have a glass of wine. Have a bit of a think. And, you can almost anthropomorphize the bot a bit. No, I think that's the Stanley variation. So against this, I'm going to play the two knights approach. Maybe move back to a Berlin-vienna hybrid, which can potentially go back to 4 knights Italian sort of territory, or Gioco piano. Basically means white has no particular advantage here. There we go. Yep, so Gioco pianissimo, actually, I think. Very slow game. But now my bot plays a very aggressive forward thrust. Knight forward. Yep, obviously they've got their knight and bishop on my f-pawn, so short castles, can't be wrong. Now they push another knight forward. Very, very aggressive. And here, I wasn't too sure what to do. Now, I think Stockfish thinks knight to a5 with an attack on their light square. Bishop is best. Feels a bit slow for me. I'm really thinking of doing my own knight attack, knight to g4. f4. I knew that's probably not quite accurate, but you know, it's an humanized AI bot. Plays like me. That's the sort of thing which I might end up blundering as a human against that very forthright attack. So I was really thinking about it. Man, you know, I'm just not so great with timing on blitz games. But there we go. Push the knight forward, 2 attackers on the f pawn. Yes, there we go. Basically baiting them to make a mistake. So pushing the f pawn is a mistake. Just making sure bishop with check. No, bishop f2 isn't best. Pretty sure it wasn't. But just making sure there wasn't something I was missing. But, you know, it's going to be knight f2 with the fork of the queen and rook. And here I knew I was probably ahead. Though, you know, it's not a... You know, with enough time, it's definitely winning. But blitz is a tricky thing. Yep, have to move the queen out of the attack. Take the rook. Okay. So there is a risk that my knight can get trapped there with the opportunity. Thinking better pull the knight back out. So knight back to f2, still defended by my bishop on the dark square diagonal. What's AI me going to do? Yeah, had a long think here. Yeah, by the way, both Chessiverse and Chessnut Go, you can use my coupon code ChessNoob64. Good Black Friday discounts at the moment. You know, I was feeling a little bit rattled here actually with white just pushing their pawns forward with an attack. You know, it is the sort of thing I don't mind doing. I do that a bit when I play. You know, just going in for the attack. It's sort of, you know, just unrattles people a little bit. This is a bit of a tricky position for black. As soon as I made that move, kind of knew that couldn't be quite right. Yep, there we go. I can push another pawn forward. What am I going to do? I thought about, you know, sacking my knight for one of the pawns. And, you know, knowing that I only have about 2 minutes left, and I just couldn't get myself to commit to that. Yeah, so eventually I pull my bishop back to b6. I knew that that wasn't the best move. That one of the knight sacrificing herself by capturing one of the pawns, damaging the structure. I thought that was probably the better move, but I wasn't sure of that. So yeah, running out of time. Bishop back to b6. Yeah, wasn't too happy. Knew that knight was probably toast. What's black going to do? Yeah, that makes sense. Capture the bishop, remove the defender of that knight. Yes, I do take that back, but they've got the knight. And that's okay. Still a little bit ahead of material. Haven't lost yet. But, you know, they do have a bit of central space. It's a nice, simple move. Kick the knight. Can't be wrong. Thought, you know, probably rotate the knight, activate the queen. And I decided to activate the queen so I could trade off the bishop. I think about this time I recognized I was ahead of material. Let's just try to simplify. Go. Yep. Captures, queen capture, still got a very, very good pawn structure. No. The A file notwithstanding. Okay, so there, you know, pushing pawns. A little bit risky for me. Yeah, rotate the knight around. At this point, I think, again, I was getting a little bit freaked out, short on time, only a minute left. I actually lost sight of their dark square bishop. I lost sight of the fact that the dark square bishop controlled that long, well, that dark square diagonal. Yep, so I thought, you know, we'd be trading knights, but of course they've got 2 defenders there. So takes, bishop takes, and I realize, oh, okay, that wasn't too good. Yeah, not too happy. Now, for a few of these moves here now, the best move is really F5 because their e-pawn is pinned to their king. And, you know, my rook is behind the f-pawn as well. Opening up the f-file was good for me. Didn't see it for quite a few moves. In fact, I don't think I actually ever saw it in the game. Running out of time. Okay, queen, dark square diagonal, could take the pawn on h2 with check. They move, but I can still give check. I was hoping is it possible I could get a draw by threefold repetition? Oh dear, you know, not too happy. I'm losing against my own bot. Right, let's take the pawn. 10 seconds left. Yep, check. Check. And I think, unfortunately, I was trying to do it as quickly as possible. But just not quite quick enough. Well done, AI me. And second game in a row, losing blitz. Just check the time. No, still got time before my flight. Now, at this point, I thought, okay, making a video, I've lost 2 out of 2 against my own bot. I need to at least get a win for the video. So I thought I'll play a game of Rapid. So I changed it. Load up the bots. All right. Yep, also have to fix up the board as well. Let's put things back. Yeah, as mentioned before, the Chessiverse online platform, humanized AI bots. At this point, there's over 600 bots. Chessnut Go, very, very... it's the board I carry with me when I'm going on interstate travel. It's just so easy to bring along. Allows me to, you know, play a few games of chess, sometimes against a real-life opponent, sometimes just online. And, you know, Chess Noob 64 coupon code, get a very nice discount on both services. All right, loading myself up again, changing it to Rapid. And rather than even just 10-minute Rapid, I sort of chickened out, 10-minute plus 5. So 10-minute with 5-second increment. Let's start the game. Will I get my revenge? Let's start. Oops, did I press the wrong button? Yep. Oh, there we go, begin. I've got the white pieces, and oh, yep, need to adjust the board a little bit just to get it away from those charging pads. Those key charging pads. There we go, working. All right. E4. Now, my bot plays E6. French defense? You know, is the bot trying to tell me something? I don't usually play the French. Against the French, or with white, I play a Steiner variation. My bot plays imaginatively, almost like a bishop's type opening. Probably not the best move. It's not disastrous, but, you know, allows me to take the center with pawns and d4. And surprisingly, you know, the AI me does play relatively accurately. That is the right move. Now I block with the bishop. And they trade away the bishop. Very interesting, isn't it? Surprisingly, this position, evaluation-wise, is actually not that bad for black. You know, white is ahead, but not by that much. And you wouldn't think so with, you know, with white having, you know, central control with pawns and a bit more development. But, you know, maybe white is a little bit too forward. But, you know, my bot will now have to play carefully, you know, to be able to take advantage potentially of the position. Knight makes sense, I guess, but I just developed my other knight. You know, knight attack, very interesting. Now, I like to think I'm not usually that aggressive with either side, but this is, you know, pretty big attack. Bishop e2, all right, forcing the knight to move again to the edge of the board, possibly. because if they go back to f6, I'm just going to push my e-pawn forward. So that was somewhat to be expected. But knights on the edge of the board are not potentially that good. All right, long castles. I've got the queen and rook as a battery on the d-file. Very nice. You know, the AI me is not playing great in this game. No, almost no development. Knight in a fairly odd place. I guess they are set up to castle short. Opposite side castling. Great potentially for the side with more attacking chances though. So h3, so my idea here is 2 intervening squares, just stops the knight's forward movement. Just block the face of that waitstaff in the Qantas Business Lounge. Capture, and of course that's fine for me. Their d-pawn is relatively pinned to the queen. All right, short castle. What should I do? Now, logically, it's doing a pawn storm, throwing the kingside pawns towards black's king. So it'd be some version of that. So I played f4. Not sure that was the best move. Stockfish might think g4 was better. 2 attackers on my e5 pawn, only 1 defender. Need to do something about that. So just take. Okay, they take back. That isolates their d-pawn. So again, this is all still very good for me. Here, thinking what to do. Not sure. Maybe d4? No, maybe develop the knight, hey? Develop the king's knight. Get into the game. And also connect the rooks. Yep, that's what I did. Bold pawn forward. Again, it's like what I play in the opening, though I think that's, maybe a little bit, open things up a little bit. Notice the exposed light squares facing black's king along that diagonal. Gives me a potential check always. All right, so I actually wanted the f file closed. I think Stockfish thought taking that f pawn was better. I didn't necessarily think so. I wanted to keep that file closed. A little bit more sparkling wine. Takes, it's fine. I'll take with pawn, take with knight. In the end, I decided to take with knight. Get a little bit more aggro. I think Stockfish thinks queen captures queen first was actually fine, but I didn't want to keep the tension, and the AI me blinked first, moved their queen off the d-file. At this point, I was thinking, queen on that light square diagonal with check looked very juicy. They still have their light square bishop, but they can't actually block check with that bishop. Nothing else is defending the e6 square. All right, block the back. Of course, that knight is now pinned. That's great. Knight captures knight. I was pretty sure that would be correct. And either they capture with queen, of which we then trade queens, or they put their rook, they capture back with rook, and then their rook is pinned. So that's what I was thinking. Knight captures knight. Rook captures knight. Rook is pinned to their king. Now here, I was starting to see some tricky ideas. So obviously my f pawn on f4 is hanging, but I had to push the knight. Attack on the queen. I thought they'll probably take the pawn with check, but I thought, I could just move the king to the b file. That looked okay. I still have the queen rook battery on the d file. Yep, let's just move that. And my idea was I could now play knight d6 with an attack on their rook, so putting pressure on the pinned piece. Move the king first. Unfortunately for AI me, that is a blunder. That knight was defending d8, and now black has a serious critical problem on the back rank. In fact, I was thinking, ooh, can I almost force back rank mate here? Well, I can definitely take that knight. I saw that. So queen d8 check. They're forced to block check with the rook, which means their knight is no longer defended and it can be taken. I wasn't 100% sure that was necessarily immediately the best move, but clearly I thought there's nothing terribly wrong with that. My rook on d1 still controls the d file. There we go. And I thought, again, if they don't do anything, or rook and d8, potentially, forcing some piece trades. What is AI me going to do? Now, according to the psychological profile of the bot, the AI bot does tend to choke when under attack. And here, that's a blunder. Rook to the back rank, forced to block. I'm very happy here now. Queen, it's the win by checkmate. GG.